hope y'all are having an amazing week. I am so excited to talk about this topic today. The reason I'm talking about this is because we were supposed to have Lit Up Live coaching on Monday on mindset. And two of our participants actually had family emergencies like in the 2 hours before we started, which, was really, I think, just a sign that it was, in our best interest to do something else this month. So aside from, saying prayers for them and their family, I decided to go ahead and cancel it and open up a thread. Hi, how you doing? Hi, Rena. So, in the thread, let people ask questions about mindset. And then I said I would do a live stream on some of it later this week. And one of the main questions was just, how do I deal with a negative mindset? How do I come back from that? So that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today, is how do I deal with that, right? So for me, how do I deal with a negative mindset comes down to two things. So first, we need to kind of have like an insulating factor. So I'll sort of talk about that. And then two, we need to have tools, techniques, and strategies that help us come back from it. So thing one, have some insulation around it. So that means being willing to work on your mindset regularly and not just when it's a problem. Hey, Tabitha, good. I'm glad this is coming at the right time. So, number one, be willing to work on your mindset when it's not a problem. So it's sort of like, do we do preventative maintenance on our car? Or, do we wait till it totally breaks down? Ideally, I'm not the best at this, so this might be a bad example, but ideally, we're doing preventative maintenance, and that's what we want to do with mindset. We want to be creating insulation, protection, safety, high vibes around ourselves before something bad ever happens, so that when it does, we have something to support us to get through it. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Gottmans, but they're amazing marriage and family therapists. They run something called the Gottman Institute, and they talk primarily about being in marriage, staying in marriage, that kind of thing. And one of the things that they talk about as it relates to marriage is having a marriage bank account and making deposits in that bank account regularly. So that might look like doing something nice for your husband, saying words of affirmation, picking up the kids when he can't, whatever. And you're making positive deposits in this bank account. And so your bank account is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when something shitty happens, like you snap at him and are really rude, or you forget to do the thing you said you were going to do, he can take a withdrawal from that bank account, but you're not back at zero because you've been putting deposits into this bank account so that when something happens, you can make a withdrawal, right? And so it becomes this balance, and mindset is very much the same thing. We need those positive deposits so that when something happens that doesn't make us feel good, we can make a withdrawal without kind of going back to square one, right? Irina says, so true. I started working on my mindset a few weeks ago and I overcame my first block. Beautiful. That's amazing. Taylor, preventative. Yes, exactly, right? So think of your mindset like this bank account that you're making deposits in. The problem is most people kind of want to deal with mindset once they're in a bad place, and then they're like, how do I fix my mindset? Well, sure, there are ways to fix your mindset once you're in a bad place, but my first and best tip would be create a positive bank account, create prevention, insulation around your mindset so that when something happens, you don't have as big of an issue, right? So what might that look like? That definitely looks like doing mindset work regularly and consistently. I cannot stress this enough. Like, you should be doing mindset work daily, and it should be one of the most important tasks in your business. So as important as opening emails and getting back to that client and doing that thing you have to do and whatever, if you are not also working on your mindset in your business every day, you are going to find yourself in a negative mindset more than not, because entrepreneurship is just a bitch, right? Like, let's just call it what it is. There are so many ups and downs. I mean, like just on any given day, let alone week, month, year, right? So if you're not creating insulation around that, you're gonna find yourself in these downward spirals pretty frequently and pretty consistently. So if you can work on your mindset every day, that changes everything, right? Lisa says it makes such a difference. I really thank you for the book club this past holiday. Let's do another one. Oh, we should do another one. That's a great idea, Lisa. I'm going to have to think of which one we could do. Has anyone on here read Leveraging the Universe? Oh, I have an idea. Remind me of this. I have an idea of a book that we could read that probably no one's read because it's totally old and obscure, but really good. But thank you. But what Lisa's talking about is we did this whole book club on the book Think and Grow Rich. And it was basically all about mindset and all about the gratitude you're bringing to your day, right? So that's a perfect example of a daily mindset practice, even just reading that book and being in engagement around that. So let's talk about what daily mindset practices might look like. So if you're just taking mindset down to the very basics, and we're talking about creating a positive mindset, what is the entire intent? The single, only, best, whatever intent is, I know, I kind of like want to let you guess, but the comments are delayed. But anyway, the single, only, best intent is to turn your attention to feeling good, right? That is what daily mindset work is about. Feeling good, being intentional, getting in that high vibe state, right? It's not like about, if I say this one affirmation 37 times, then I get the thing I want. No, it's about how do I feel good so I'm on the vibration of attracting more good things to me. So it's not like what's the right way to do mindset work or what's the thing that's going to make this all better. It's like, I don't know, what's going to make you feel good? How do you turn your attention to feeling good, right? Shannon, get out of my brain. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Well, not glad that this is, that you're not feeling a positive mindset, but that this is exactly what you needed. Lisa, yes, it helps. It helps and things change drastically and so much for the better. That's so awesome. I love that. Taylor, my daily practice is typically affirmations and reading a book and relaxing before jumping into work mode. Beautiful. I love that. And right, like that is obviously what makes you feel good. Like whether those books inspire you or make you feel tapped in or creative or turned on or whatever, like that's the entire point, right? It's not like, well, Taylor, really, you should be doing journaling because da-da-da. It doesn't matter. It's just like what turns your attention to how you can feel good. So for Taylor, it's like not being in work mode right away, doing affirmations, reading a book that she loves, right? It's just that simple. So mindset work at the basis, turning your attention to what feels good. So if you can spend time every day turning your attention to what feels good and doing that, perfect. You're well on your way. The second thing I would say is being intentional about creating what you want. So now we're in this high vibe state where we feel good. Maybe I read the book or did a gratitude list or, I tapped or I meditated, whatever. Then it's like beautiful. And from this space, what is my intention and what do I want to create, right? So I get high vibe first, turn my attention to feeling good. Then I get intentional and creative about what I want next. Hey, Raina. Hi. So what's going to get you high vibe? Think about that. And then what can you be intentional around? Like Taylor was saying, she does affirmations, right? Maybe for you, that is journaling out what you want. Maybe it's saying your affirmations out loud or in the mirror or just reading them or whatever. But what is that? Is it just writing your intentions for the day? Is it writing your intentions for the month? It doesn't matter. You can't get this wrong. The way you get it wrong is by not doing it, right? Taylor says, or Tabitha says, what's your favorite mindset activity? I need new ones. I love that. Mine vary, and this is actually a great lead-in, so perfect question, because I don't need the same thing every day. So I do this thing that I call like a power hour, although it's usually never an hour. The term is catchy now, I guess. But I literally just try to tune into like, what do I need today? So what do I need to feel high vibe? And then how do I want to get intentional? So those two things that I said, every day I'm just checking in with myself around what creates that. So sometimes for me, what do I need to get high vibe? I'm like really a big fan of being outdoors and going on walks. And so sometimes that is part of my mindset practice, is like, I just need to get my ass on the grass and outside and in nature. And that really creates that high vibe. And then I can set my intentions, affirmations, whatever from there. Sometimes to get high vibe, I have to like take down some stress. So I might tap, right? Because that really helps me alleviate stress. So in order to do that, I'm going to tap out what's coming up for me, and then I'm going to create intentions and affirmations from that place once I've lowered my stress level, right? Meditation is also a big one for me. Quieting my mind and surrender are kind of my continuous edge in business and life, right? So meditation works really well for me and really returns me to that like high vibe, peaceful, conscious place that I like to be in. So that's one that I go to more often than not. But the point is, I don't try to like put myself into this really rigid box. Like I used to do mindset work almost as like a to-do list item where like, okay, I do this and then I visualize and then I meditate and then I do this. And that's fine. Obviously I still, was getting something out of it, but it was becoming like a to-do list item and not like an intuitive what do I need kind of thing. And so I would say when you're starting, it can be good to have like a rigid practice because you're trying to create habit, right? So for me, that really worked at the beginning because I just needed to get into the habit of it. But later, as I was totally, entrenched in it and really in the habit, what I realized is like, oh, and now I need to check in with myself more about what I need. So there's nothing, again, like you can't get it wrong. There's nothing wrong with it either way, but it's just about feeling into what's working for you and what's feeling good. So if you guys are on, tell us in the comments, like, what is your favorite mindset activity? Because I feel like we probably all have something different and can kind of bounce off each other. So tell us, what is your favorite mindset activity? So again, we get high vibe, tapping, being outside, meditating, whatever. And then I always then set intentions from there. So typically I do that in two ways. I like to write intentions for the day because it just sort of gets me in the right headspace. So it might just be something like, I have amazing client calls. I feel supported throughout my day. I have more than enough time throughout my day, that kind of thing. And then intentions for like what I'm trying to create long term. So maybe about things I want to do, things I want to feel, things I want to create, right? So that is what you can use to leverage your high vibe, because when we feel good, we draw good things in. When we're intentional and focused, we draw good things in, right? So get high vibe, draw the things in. Morgan says, how do you say in positive expectation that the intentions will come through? Let's say you're doing mindset work and still have trouble with this. So I would just say, like, I think that sometimes we have to, I don't want to say be careful, but just be conscious of what intentions we're setting. So let me give an example of that. Like, if I was saying every day in my intentions, I am a multimillionaire. I mean, I said that with like a lot of passion and high vibes, I guess, right? And I even did like a head shake, but my brain is not there yet. Like, it's just not there. So like my brain is like, you're full of shit, right? But if I say something like, I signed a new client, I reached my highest month yet, stuff that feels possible, but like a stretch, that's when I can get really into it, right? So I think that sometimes what we do wrong with affirmations or intentions is we try to like go for this thing that's like feels so big and far down the road and impossible, and then instead of it creating what we want, it reinforces what we don't have. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Dana Wilde, but she has a book called Train Your Brain, and it's awesome. And she actually talks about adding but to affirmations. So it might be like, I'm trying to think of an example she uses in the book. Like, I'm shy, but my clients and tribe love me. Or I'm scared to get visible, but every time I do, I have great results from it. So it's stuff where like you're not negating what's true. So like for the millionaire thing, I might say something like, I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm creating a business that's going to get me there, right? So you kind of have to be able to lean into, in whatever way feels good to you, whether it's adding but, making your intentions just for your day or just for the next week, and then continuing to lean into those. But your brain has to be able to catch up with you, right? So if you're setting a lot of intentions right now and you're not really seeing them come to fruition, I would just say it's probably because when you're doing it, you're not bought in yet. So think about affirmations that you can get kind of bought into, and then increase them as you go. Like one day my affirmation is going to be I'm a multimillionaire, but I'm like getting there, right? Raina says, oh, Tabitha, does learning count? Learning gets me high vibe and excited. Totally. I mean, I think like for some people, having to learn more feels stressful and overwhelming. It would not be a great mindset practice. For some people, reading a book or doing something that fills their brain or creates creative energy is totally high vibe and mindset work. So just pay attention to like what that looks like for you, right? Raina says, high vibes. I think it's super cyclical too. Once you're there, it's easier to maintain. Absolutely. Head shake. Did you like that, Carrie? Sabrina, you need to have affirmations, mantras that you can get behind, and then you can get them to something higher. Exactly. Yes. That you can get behind. That's such a good way of saying it, right? That your brain can get behind with you, and that it's not like screaming at you about. Thank you, Morgan. Right. So get high vibe, set the intention, and pay attention to how your intentions are making you feel, right? If they're kind of feeling like an impossibility and they're just reminding you of things you don't have, scratch those and keep leaning in. Whether you have to bring it back to today, this week, this month, or just bring them down where like you're not going to not be a millionaire because you're not saying it every day, but like what's the next step for you and how can you feel good about it but stretched, right? So that was like when I said at the very beginning, like how do you deal with a negative mindset? There's 2 tracks, and one is like installation and prevention. That's everything we just talked about, right? The getting high vibe every day, creating intentions and affirmations, totally that, right? Step 2, what do you do when shit happens anyway and you're in a negative mindset? So what I think is so important to know here is that it takes step 1 to be able to manage step 2, because once you're in a negative place or in a really bad mindset, unless you've created tools and habits and patterns that feel good for you, it's really hard to create them from this negative space. But for example, like I know why meditation works for me, why tapping works, what I like for different things. So when I get into a negative mindset, I know what my go-to tool is. I don't have to like think about it and really process it and kind of get grumpy and be like, but I don't want to feel better and I don't want to think about that, right? It's just like habit. I feel anxious, cool, I can tap. I feel like I'm trying to control all the things, beautiful, I need to go get into meditation, right? So it becomes habit to get out of the negative when you've created habits that feel good already. So what I would say is like if you're having trouble and finding yourself in a negative mindset more often than not, I would feel into like, what are my go-to tools around that? And even like something as simple as like having a list, because I know for me, like when I get into a negative mindset, my decision capabilities tend to suffer, usually because I'm in decision fatigue and I'm not making great decisions. So I need those go-to things that I don't have to make a decision about, right? Like tapping, meditation, or whatever. It's like not even a decision. It's just a go-to thing. So you want to definitely insulate and prevent and do all that. And then you want to create these go-to tools. So when you are in that place, it doesn't take a lot of time, energy, or effort to manage it. It's just very quickly going to your go-to tool, right? And I think the other thing to remember is that, the point of this isn't not to feel our feelings or to ever feel bad or to always be high vibe, like no matter what. It's more like, do I trust myself to handle the things that come my way? Do I trust myself to come back when things don't go the way I want them to? Because that is the secret of entrepreneurship, right? Being able to trust yourself and come back from things that aren't going your way. So when you're thinking of doing your mindset practice, don't think of it like, how do I just stay high vibe all the time and not ever feel stressed and, do enough mindset work that I'll just never have any negative feelings. No. Negative feelings are your teacher, and you get to feel those and live into them and learn from them. But you want to know that there's a way back and a way out from them, right? So that's why you create these two things: go-to tools for when you need a way out, positive daily reinforcement so it's easier to find a way out, not so that nothing negative ever happens, right? I'm going to take a sip here, but if anyone has any questions, let me know. So, Carrie says, has to have a level of believability, baby steps. Exactly. Great. I think, it's not like, and some people could say, I want to be a millionaire or I am a millionaire and totally believe it. It's just like, pay attention to what your brain does for you, right? Some people can do really big affirmations and their brain can catch up. That's beautiful. No harm, no foul. That's amazing. But just pay attention to like what your reaction is when you're doing them, right? So think about it like this, like the bank account that we talked about earlier, the marriage bank account, your mindset bank account, right? If you're making deposits, the point of making deposits into a bank account is not to never make a withdrawal. Of course, we're going to make withdrawals. And it's not to avoid ever having to make a withdrawal. It's just to know that there's plenty in there. So if I have to make a withdrawal, it's totally fine and it's totally okay, which goes back to like trusting yourself around it, right? Cool. All right, so I'm going to just like recap this really quick, and if anybody has any questions, drop them below. But if you want to get out of a negative mindset, first thing is create daily habits and practices around your mindset that get you high vibe, and then that help you set intentions or affirmations. And then 2, know what your go-to tools are. So the next time you get in a negative mindset, you have these easy ways to find your way out of it without a lot of stress, pressure, and overwhelm being added to it. So I hope that helps. I hope that was a good replacement for Lit Up Live coaching this month. And if you're watching the replay and you have any questions, just let me know that too. And I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and I will talk to y'all soon.